The trading post floated in the darkness of space like a small city made of metal and glass. Taehyun walked through the main corridor, his hand resting on the plasma pistol at his hip. He had been working security here for 2 years now, and most days were boring. Humans, aliens, and dozens of other species came here to trade goods and make deals. His job was to make sure nobody caused trouble. Today felt different, though. Something in the air made him nervous. Maybe it was the way the Kresh merchants kept looking over their shoulders, or how the Lumina diplomats left earlier than planned. Taehyun trusted his gut, and his gut said something bad was coming. He stopped at a viewing window and looked out at the stars. Earth was so far away now. His mother probably worried about him every day. She never wanted him to leave. But the payout here was too good to ignore. He sent money home every month. His little sister could go to university now because of him. A small voice pulled him from his thoughts. He looked down and saw a child standing next to him. She was Velhari, one of the crystalline aliens who looked like they were made of colored glass. This one was purple and blue, and she barely came up to his waist. She was looking out the window too, her large eyes reflecting the stars. "Pretty," she said in broken human language. Taehyun smiled. "Yeah, it is. Where are your parents?" "Little one." She pointed down the corridor. 2 adult Velhari stood near a shop, talking with another alien. They wore fancy clothes, which meant they were probably important. Rich families often brought their kids to the trading post. "You should stay close to them," Taehyun said gently. The girl nodded, but she did not move. She seemed fascinated by the stars. That was when the explosions started. The first blast came from the docking bay. Alarms screamed through the station. People started running and shouting. Taehyun grabbed his gun and looked around quickly. Smoke poured from the corridor leading to the bay. Then he heard weapons fire. "Terrorists!" someone screamed. More explosions rocked the station. The lights flickered. Taehyun saw armed figures in black armor running through the smoke. They were shooting at everyone. This was not a robbery. This was a massacre. He looked down. The Velhari child was frozen in fear, her crystalline body trembling. Her parents were too far away, trapped behind a wave of panicking crowds. One of the terrorists raised a heavy plasma cannon, aiming it down the corridor. The blast would kill dozens of people, including the child. Taehyun did not think. His body moved on instinct. He scooped up the little girl and turned his back to the attacker. He wrapped himself around her, trying to shield as much of her as possible with his body. "Close your eyes," he whispered. The plasma cannon fired. The sound was like thunder. Taehyun felt heat like nothing he had ever known. It burned through his armor, his clothes, his skin. Pain exploded through every nerve in his body. He could not breathe. He could not scream. All he could do was hold the child tighter. Then the world went dark. Time became strange. Sometimes Taehyun could hear voices. They sounded worried. Sometimes he felt nothing at all. Sometimes the pain came back, so intense that he wished he could die. But mostly there was just darkness and the feeling of floating. Once, he thought he heard the little girl's voice. "Help him. Please. Help him." Once, he felt something warm spreading across his chest. It felt alive. Once, he dreamed he was being covered in metal, wrapped up like a gift. When Taehyun finally opened his eyes, he was in a white room. Medical equipment beeped around him. He tried to sit up and immediately noticed something wrong. His body felt different, heavy. When he looked down, he gasped. He was covered in armor. Not regular armor, but something that looked alive. It was dark blue and silver, moving slightly like it was breathing. It covered him from neck to toe, fitting perfectly against his skin. He touched his chest and felt smooth metal that was somehow warm. "What?" he started to say. The door opened. 2 Velhari adults entered, followed by a human doctor. Taehyun recognized them immediately. They were the parents from the corridor. They looked at him with expressions he could not quite read. "You are awake," the male Velhari said. His voice sounded like music. "I am Rael. This is my wife, Sindra. You saved our daughter's life." "The attack," Taehyun said. His throat felt dry. "How long?" "3 weeks," the doctor said. "You should have died. The plasma blast destroyed most of your back and internal organs. But the child, she saved you." Sindra stepped closer. She was crying, which looked strange on a crystalline face. Small drops fell from her eyes like liquid diamonds. "Our daughter Lyra bonded the sentinel carapace to you. It is our most sacred artifact. She is too young to understand what she did. The armor is keeping you alive." Taehyun looked down at the metal covering his body. "Can you take it off?" Rael and Sindra looked at each other. The sadness in their eyes told him everything. "No," Rael finally said. "The carapace chooses its wearer. It bonds to their life force. Removing it would kill you instantly. You are part of it now, and it is part of you." Taehyun stared at his armored hands. 3 weeks ago, he was a simple security guard. Now he was something else. Something he did not understand. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Rael placed a hand on his shoulder. The touch was surprisingly gentle. "Now, Taehyun of Earth, we must teach you what you have become. Because the armor you wear is not just protection, it is a weapon. And the enemy it was created to fight is returning." The Velhari homeworld was beautiful in a way that made Taehyun's chest ache. Cities made of crystal rose from purple forests. 3 moons hung in a pink sky. Everything seemed to glow with its own light. But Taehyun barely noticed the beauty. He was too focused on trying not to fall over. "Again," Junwoo said coldly. Taehyun gritted his teeth and tried to control the armor. He wanted to form a shield, but instead, a blade shot out from his forearm. The Velhari instructor shook his head in disappointment. "You think like a human. All force, no elegance. The carapace responds to intention, not desire. You must become one with it." "I am trying," Taehyun said, breathing hard. "Try harder." Junwoo was the worst teacher Taehyun ever had. The Velhari warrior stood over 7 feet tall, his crystalline body colored deep red and gold. He made his dislike of humans very clear, from day one. To Junwoo, Taehyun was a thief who stole something precious. A familiar voice called from across the training field. "Hey! Stop being such a hard-ass." Faxid, Min Seo jogged over, waving. She was the only thing keeping Taehyun sane. His best friend had insisted on coming with him to the Velhari world, refusing to let him face this alone. She worked as a shuttle pilot now, running supplies between the surface and orbiting ships. "This training is necessary," Junwoo said stiffly. "The human must learn control." "The human has a name," Min Seo shot back. "And maybe he would learn better if you actually taught him, instead of just barking orders." Junwoo's color darkened, which meant he was angry. But he said nothing. Even he knew better than to argue with Min Seo when she got protective. After training, Taehyun sat by a crystal fountain, exhausted. The armor had retracted slightly, exposing his hands and face. Slowly, he was learning to communicate with it. "You are improving." Taehyun looked up. An elderly Velhari approached, moving slowly with a walking staff. This was Elder Kas, the scholar who studied ancient history. Unlike Junwoo, the old alien actually seemed interested in helping him. "It does not feel like improvement," Taehyun admitted. Elder Kas sat beside him. "Tell me, young human, why did you save Lyra?" "I did not think about it. I just moved." "Exactly," the elder said, his ancient eyes twinkling. "You did not think. You acted from pure instinct. That is why the carapace chose you. It does not want someone who thinks. It wants someone who acts when action is needed." Taehyun looked at the armor covering his body. In the light of the purple sun, it seemed to shimmer. What is this thing? Really? Everyone talks about it, like it is important, but nobody explains why. Elder Cass was quiet for a moment. 10,000 years ago, our galaxy faced extinction. Machines called the Devourers came from dark space. They consumed everything. Planets, stars, entire civilizations. All organic life was food to them. All technology was absorbed into their collective. The old alien's voice grew sad. Billions died. Whole species were erased. The survivors built weapons, ships, armies. Nothing worked. The Devourers adapted to everything. Then the first Velhari scientists created the Sentinel carapace. It was not just armor. It was a bridge between organic and machine, a weapon that could fight the Devourers on their own terms. What happened? Taehyun asked. The wearer of the carapace led a strike force to the Devourers' central intelligence. They destroyed it from within. The machines shut down all at once. We thought we won. The carapace was placed in our most sacred temple, waiting for the day it might be needed again. Taehyun felt cold despite the warm air. And now that day is coming. Yes. Long-range sensors detected scout ships 2 months ago. The Devourers are returning, and they will come for you. That night, Taehyun could not sleep. He walked through the crystal gardens near the guest quarters, watching the moons move across the sky. The armor hummed quietly against his skin. He was starting to understand it better. It was not controlling him. It was waiting for him to guide it. He heard soft footsteps behind him. Sora approached, carrying data tablets. The Velhari scientist had been studying his connection with the armor since he arrived. She was younger than most Velhari he met. Her body colored soft green and white. Could not sleep either? She asked. Too much to think about. They sat together on a bench made of smooth stone. Sora pulled up holographic displays from her tablets. I have been analyzing the bond between you and the carapace. It is remarkable. The armor is rewriting itself to match your biology. It is becoming part human. Is that good or bad? Both, perhaps. The original wearer was Velhari. The armor knew how to work with our physiology. With you, it is learning something new. Your emotions are stronger than ours. Your instincts more aggressive. The armor is amplifying those traits. Taehyun flexed his armored hand. Sometimes, I can feel it in my mind. Like it is trying to talk to me. It is, Sora said softly. The carapace contains the memories of every wearer before you. Thousands of years of battle experience. You just need to learn to listen. Over the following weeks, Taehyun trained harder. He practiced in zero gravity, underwater, in extreme heat. The armor adapted to everything. He learned to form weapons just by thinking about them. Swords, shields, energy cannons. Junwoo remained cold, but Taehyun noticed small changes. The instructor started giving actual advice instead of criticism. Once, after Taehyun successfully completed a difficult exercise, Junwoo almost smiled. Your people are warriors, the Velhari said. Rough, undisciplined, but warriors nonetheless. It was the closest thing to a compliment Taehyun would get. Then the summons came. Counselor Rael requested Taehyun's presence at the High Council. When he arrived at the Crystal Palace, he found Rael arguing with other council members. One voice rose above the others. This is madness. The carapace belongs to our people. Counselor Vex was tall and imposing, his body colored deep purple and black. The human must surrender the armor. If he will not remove it willingly, we will cut it from him. That would kill him, Rael said firmly. Better one human dies than our most sacred artifact remains lost to us. Other council members argued on both sides. Some supported Vex. Others supported Rael. Taehyun stood quietly, letting them debate his fate like he was not even there. Finally, young Lyra ran into the chamber. She was not supposed to be there, but she pushed through the adults until she reached Taehyun. She grabbed his armored hand with her small, crystalline ones. He saved me, she said loudly. The armor chose him. That means something. The chamber grew quiet. Even Vex could not argue against a child's innocent logic. But as Taehyun left the palace, he saw the hatred in Vex's eyes. This was not over. Some Velhari would never accept a human wearing their most precious artifact. And somewhere in dark space, ancient machines were waking up. The real test was still to come. The alarm woke Taehyun from a dead sleep. Red lights flashed through his quarters. His armor immediately activated, covering his face with a helmet before he even stood up. It was learning to protect him automatically now. He ran to the command center. Rael was already there, staring at a holographic display. Dozens of Velhari officers worked at control stations, their crystalline faces reflecting the glow of screens. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. "What is happening?" Taehyun asked. Rael's voice was grim. "One of our colony worlds stopped transmitting 30 minutes ago. We sent a probe. It just arrived." The main screen filled with an image that made Taehyun's blood run cold. The colony world was gone. Not destroyed, but stripped clean. The oceans were dry. The forests were ash. The cities were flattened. All that remained was bare rock. "The Devourers," Elder Cass whispered. He stood in the corner of the room, looking older than ever. "They have begun their harvest." Within hours, a small strike force was assembled. Taehyun volunteered immediately, despite protests from Rael. Min Seo insisted on piloting the shuttle. To everyone's surprise, Junwoo also joined the team. "I do not trust you, human," the Velhari warrior said. "But I trust the carapace. If it chose you, there must be a reason." They approached the dead colony in silence. The devastation was worse, up close. Taehyun could see massive trenches carved into the planet's surface, where the machines had dug out resources. Nothing lived here anymore. "Reading energy signatures on the surface," Minseo reported. "Looks like they left some machines behind." "Scavengers," Junwoo said. "They harvest whatever is left. We must destroy them before they can report our presence." The shuttle landed near what used to be a city. Taehyun stepped out onto barren ground. The air smelled like burning metal. In the distance, he could see them. The Devourers. They looked like insects made of dark metal. Some were small, the size of dogs. Others were massive, tall as buildings. They moved with mechanical precision, breaking down debris and loading it into their bodies. Red lights glowed where their eyes should be. "Stay close," Junwoo said, activating his own armor. It was not like Taehyun's, but it was still impressive. Energy shields and plasma weapons built into the suit. They moved through the ruins carefully. Taehyun's armor seemed excited, almost eager. He could feel it responding to the presence of the machines, like it recognized old enemies. A small devourer turned their direction. Its red eye focused on Taehyun. Then it made a sound. A horrible screeching that made his ears ring. Instantly, dozens of machines swarmed toward them. "Contact!" Junwoo shouted, opening fire. Taehyun did not think. He let the armor take over. His arm formed into a cannon, and energy blasted from it. The first devourer exploded into pieces. More came. The armor shifted again, forming blades. Taehyun cut through machines like they were paper. But something strange happened. When his blade touched them, the machines stopped working. They just froze, their lights going dark. It was not just damage. It was like the armor shut them down. "Taehyun," Junwoo called. "The large one." Taehyun, a massive devourer, crawled over the rubble. It was the size of a building, covered in weapons. Its eye focused on Taehyun, and it made that horrible screeching sound again. The armor responded. Information flooded into Taehyun's mind. Not words, but understanding. The carapace knew these machines. It remembered fighting them thousands of years ago. It knew their weaknesses. Taehyun charged forward. The massive devourer fired at him, but the armor formed shields that absorbed the blasts. He jumped, letting the suit's power enhance his strength. He landed on top of the machine and drove his blade into what the armor told him was its central processor. The devourer shuddered and went still. All the other machines stopped moving too. They all dropped to the ground at once, completely dead. Junwoo stared at Taehyun in shock. "How did you do that?" "I do not know." The armor knew what to do. They collected data from the dead machines and returned to the Velhari homeworld. Elder Kas studied the information for days. What he found changed everything. The carapace can interface with devourer technology, the old scholar explained to the High Council. It can shut them down, override their programming. This is how the ancient war was won. The armor is not just a weapon. It is a key. Word spread quickly. Other alien species heard about what happened at the colony. Representatives arrived from across the sector. The Kresh sent their war leaders. The Hive Chorus sent their queens. Even the mysterious Lumina sent envoys. They all remembered the ancient war. They all lost countless lives to the devourers. And now they all looked at Taehyun with hope. A human military officer also arrived. Captain Hee-jin commanded 3 destroyers from Earth's United Defense Fleet. She met with Taehyun privately. "Earth is young in galactic terms," she said. "Most species barely notice us. But your actions here have given humanity respect. The Council has asked for our help. They want us to join the defense against the devourers. We are not ready for this kind of war," Taehyun said. "No one ever is. But we are here, anyway." She showed him images of human ships moving into position around key worlds. Thousands of soldiers volunteering to fight. Earth was small and weak compared to the old galactic powers. But humans were determined to prove they belonged. Taehyun spent more time with So-ra. The scientist worked day and night, studying the armor and its connection to the devourers. One evening, she found him in the gardens again. "I have been analyzing the data from the colony," she said, sitting beside him. "The devourers are not just killing randomly. They are searching for something." "Searching for what?" "For you." The armor's activation sent out a signal. The machines detected it. They know the Sentinel carapace is active again. Taehyun felt cold. "So I am the reason they came back." "No," So-ra said firmly. She took his hand. Through the armor, he could feel her warmth. They were always coming back. The armor activated because it sensed them approaching. It prepared itself. It chose you because you were worthy. "I am just a security guard. You are more than that. You are brave, selfless, kind. Those are rare qualities." She looked away, her crystalline face changing colors. "I wish the galaxy had more beings like you." Something passed between them in that moment. Despite being different species, despite the impossible situation, they connected. Taehyun squeezed her hand gently, but their moment was interrupted by alarms. Everyone ran to the command center. The main screen showed a horrifying sight. A devourer fleet had entered the system. Hundreds of ships, each the size of a city. They were coming straight for the Velhari homeworld. Elder Kas pulled up ancient records. His hands shook as he worked. "I found something. Deep in the old files. The devourers have a central intelligence, a nexus that controls all of them. If someone could reach it and destroy it, the entire collective would shut down." "Where is this nexus?" Rael asked. "Deep in devourer space, surrounded by their entire fleet. It would be suicide to try reaching it." Everyone looked at Taehyun. He stared at the approaching fleet on the screen. Thousands of machines coming to destroy everything. Coming for him. The armor hummed against his skin. It was not afraid. It was ready. It had been ready for 10,000 years. "How do I get there?" Taehyun asked quietly. The room erupted in protests. So-ra grabbed his arm. "No. There has to be another way." But deep down, they all knew the truth. This was what the Sentinel carapace was made for, and Taehyun was its wearer now. The war had finally come home. The Devourer fleet filled the sky like a swarm of metal locusts. Their ships blotted out the stars. Every species with military forces rushed to defend the Velhari homeworld. This was more than protecting one planet. If the Devourers took this world, they would take everything. Taehyun stood in the orbital defense station, watching preparations through massive windows. Ships from a dozen species positioned themselves. Human destroyers flew alongside Velhari cruisers. Kresh battleships formed a wall. The Hive Chorus sent thousands of small fighter craft that moved like schools of fish. "We cannot win this fight," Junwoo said quietly. The Velhari warrior stood beside him, fully armored. "We can only buy time." "Time for what?" Taehyun asked. "For you to reach their nexus. That is our only real hope." Minseo approached, carrying her pilot's helmet. "Evacuation transports are ready. We are moving civilians to the moons. Lyra and her family are safe." "What about you?" Taehyun asked his friend. She grinned, though her eyes showed fear. "I am staying right here. Someone has to fly you when this is over." The first Devourer ships entered weapons range. The battle began with a wall of fire. Energy weapons lit up the darkness. Missiles streaked through space. The human destroyers fired their railguns, sending solid metal slugs that punched through Devourer armor. The aliens responded with advanced plasma weapons that melted through shields. Taehyun fought on the station's outer hull. His armor allowed him to survive in the vacuum of space. Devourer boarding pods slammed into the station. Machines poured out, trying to take control. Taehyun cut through them with blades formed from his armor. Every machine he touched with the carapace shut down instantly, but there were too many. For every one he destroyed, 10 more appeared. Inside the station, Junwoo led the defense. Velhari soldiers fought alongside human marines. The humans were outmatched in technology, but they fought with determination that impressed the older species. Hyjin commanded the human forces, her tactical skills keeping them alive against impossible odds. Then the betrayal happened. Counselor Vex appeared on all communication channels. His crystalline face filled every screen. "People of Velhari, I have made contact with the Devourer fleet. They have offered terms. If we surrender the human and the armor, they will spare our world." Rael's voice thundered across the channel. "You have no authority to negotiate. I have the authority of survival," Vex shouted back. "One human life is not worth billions of our people." Suddenly, the station's defense grid shut down. Shields collapsed. Weapons stopped firing. Vex had sabotaged the system. Devourer ships immediately pushed forward, breaking through the defensive line. "That traitor!" Junwoo roared. But worse was coming. Assassins in black armor appeared on the station. They wore Velhari military gear, but they worked for Vex. They were hunting for Taehyun. Minseo's voice cracked over his communicator. "Taehyun! You have hostiles converging on your position." He saw them coming. A dozen armed soldiers, moving with military precision. His armor detected their weapons, were designed to pierce the carapace. Vex had prepared for this. The first assassin fired. Taehyun barely dodged. His armor formed a shield, but the weapon hurt him. These were not regular guns. They were designed to kill him specifically. Then plasma fire came from behind the assassins. Human marines charged in, led by Captain Hyjin. "Nobody touches our guy," she shouted, firing her rifle. The fight was brutal. Humans fought Velhari in the corridors of the station. It should never have happened. But Vex's betrayal forced this conflict. 3 Marines died protecting Taehyun. He would remember their faces forever. When the assassins were defeated, Hyejin grabbed Taehyun's arm. "You need to get off this station. Vex will send more. I cannot leave while the battle continues. You must. We did not come all this way to watch you die to our allies' stupidity." Elder Kas appeared with Sora. The old scholar looked exhausted. I have located the coordinates of the Devourer Nexus. It is in the Dark Zone, 3 weeks away at maximum speed. But reaching it means going through their entire fleet. Arter, we can do it, Mincio said, arriving with cuts on her face. I have a ship ready. Fast scout vessel. We can slip through while they are focused on the battle here. Sora stepped forward. I am coming with you. No, Taehyun said immediately. Yes. The armor will need constant monitoring. I am the only one who understands the bond between you. You need me. They stared at each other. Taehyun wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. And selfishly, he wanted her there. Even facing death, having her close felt right. There is something else, Elder Kas said quietly. He pulled Taehyun aside. I found a way to remove the armor safely. It would take time, but it is possible. You do not have to be the hero, Taehyun. You can live a normal life. Taehyun looked through the window at the battle. Ships exploded in silence. Brave soldiers from every species died defending this world. He thought about little Lyra, who gave him this power. About Mincio, who never left his side. About the humans fighting beside aliens they barely knew. About Sora, whose touch made him feel alive. No, he said firmly. This is what I was meant to do. The old scholar nodded sadly. I thought you would say that. The armor chose well. They prepared a ship. It was small and fast, built for stealth missions. Minseo would pilot. Sora would monitor the armor. Taehyun would be the weapon that ended this war. Junwoo found them before they left. The proud warrior looked at Taehyun with something that might have been respect. I was wrong about humans, he said simply. You are not thieves. You are warriors worthy of respect. He placed his hand on Taehyun's armored shoulder. Fight well. Die well. And if you succeed, the galaxy will sing songs of your courage. I am not planning to die, Taehyun said. None of us ever are. As they prepared to launch, Rael appeared. The counselor looked older, worn down by stress. Vex has been arrested. But the damage is done. The defense grid will take hours to restore. The Devourers are pushing through. Then we better succeed, Mincio said, starting the ship's engines. Sora strapped into the co-pilot seat. She reached back and took Taehyun's hand. When this is over, I want to show you the crystal gardens at sunset. They are beautiful. It is a date, he said, squeezing her hand. The ship launched into chaos. The battle raged all around them. Explosions lit up space. Ships burned. Taehyun watched through the window as a human destroyer sacrificed itself, ramming a Devourer capital ship. Both vessels exploded in a ball of fire. We are through the line, Minseo reported, setting course for the Dark Zone. Behind them, the battle continued. Thousands would die today. Maybe billions before this war ended. But they were buying time for 3 people, in a small ship, to reach an impossible target. Taehyun closed his eyes and felt the armor pulse against his skin. It showed him images. The ancient wearer, who first entered the Nexus. The sacrifice made 10,000 years ago. The armor had done this before. It could do it again. But this time, Taehyun promised himself, the wearer would survive. He had too much to live for. Too many people counting on him. Too many reasons to come home. The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel. Behind them, the Velhari system burned. Ahead, in the darkness, waited an enemy older than most civilizations. The final battle was coming. The journey to the Dark Zone took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of silence, watching the stars thin out as they traveled further from civilized space. 3 weeks of preparing for a mission that would probably kill them all. Taehyun trained constantly. The armor responded better now, like they were truly becoming one being. He could form weapons without thinking. Shields appeared automatically when danger approached. The carapace was teaching him everything it knew from 10,000 years of war. Sora worked beside him, monitoring his vital signs. Sometimes, she would rest her hand on his arm, and even through the armor, he felt comforted by her presence. They talked about everything except the mission. She told him about growing up on the Velhari homeworld. He told her about Earth, about his mother and sister, about normal life before all this. "If we survive," she said one night, "would you stay with my people? Or return to Earth?" Taehyun thought carefully. "I do not know where I belong anymore. I am not fully human, but I am not Velhari either. You belong wherever you choose," she said softly. "And I hope you choose to stay." Min Seo interrupted their moment, as she often did. "Sorry to break up the romance, but we are approaching the target." The viewing screen showed what waited ahead. The Devourer Nexus was a planet-sized structure floating in the void. It looked like a massive mechanical brain, covered in billions of lights. Ships swarmed around it like protective insects. The entire Devourer fleet was here. "That is impossible," Mincio whispered. "We cannot get through that." Then the miracle happened. Ships appeared out of faster-than-light travel. Hundreds of them. Human destroyers led by He-Jin. Velhari cruisers commanded by Junwoo. Kresh battleships. Hive chorus fighters. Even the mysterious Lumina sent their energy beings in crystalline vessels. Junwoo's voice came through on communication. "Did you think we would let you face this alone? You should be defending your worlds," Taehyun said. "Every species sent a fleet. We left enough forces to protect our homes. But this is where the war will be decided. We will open a path for you, human. Make it count." 8. 8. 8. The largest space battle in galactic history began. Thousands of ships against millions of Devourer machines. The Allied fleet fought with desperate courage. Human captains rammed their ships into enemy vessels when ammunition ran out. Velhari warriors boarded Devourer stations and fought hand-to-hand. The Kresh formed shield walls with their massive battleships. The Hive chorus fighters moved in perfect coordination, each one willing to die for the mission. Min Seo guided their small ship through the chaos. She was the best pilot Taehyun ever knew, dodging weapons, fire, and debris with impossible skill. But even she could not avoid everything. The ship shook from near misses. Alarms screamed warnings. "We are not going to make it," she said through gritted teeth. Then Junwoo's flagship moved in front of them. The massive Velhari cruiser took the full force of a Devourer weapon blast meant for their ship. The cruiser's hull shattered. Atmosphere vented into space. "Go." Junwoo's voice came through, breaking up with static. "Tell the galaxy. Humans and Velhari fought as brothers." The cruiser exploded. Taehyun watched his teacher die. The proud warrior who did not trust humans gave his life to save one. "We have to keep going," Sora said, tears in her eyes. "We cannot let his sacrifice be meaningless." Min Seo pushed the engines to maximum. They broke through the defensive line. The Nexus filled their view. A mechanical planet of unimaginable size. Min Seo aimed the ship directly at it. "I am going to crash us into the surface. Brace for impact." The ship hit the Nexus at incredible speed. Metal screamed. Systems failed. They tumbled through corridors and chambers inside the massive structure. When they finally stopped, Min Seo was unconscious. Blood ran down her face. "No," Taehyun breathed, checking her pulse. "I will stay with her," Sora said. "You have to go." Taehyun did not want to leave them. But the armor was pulling him forward. It knew where to go. This place was familiar to it. "I will come back," he promised. Sora kissed him through his helmet. "I know you will." Taehyun ran through the Nexus. Devourer machines tried to stop him, but the armor destroyed them easily. It was like the carapace was coming home. These corridors were built for it. This place was made to be infiltrated by the armor. He fought his way deeper and deeper. Hours passed. He lost track of how many machines he destroyed. The armor never tired. It fed on the energy around it, growing stronger with every step. Finally, he reached the center. A massive chamber stretched before him, filled with processing cores and data streams. In the middle floated a sphere of pure energy. The Devourer Prime Intelligence, the mind that controlled every machine in the galaxy. A voice filled his head. Not sound, but pure thought. Welcome, wearer of the carapace. I have waited 10,000 years for your return. You remember the first wearer, Taehyun said. I remember everything. I offered them what I offer you now. Join us. Become machine. Become immortal. Organic life is fragile and limited. We can fix that. Images flooded Taehyun's mind. A perfect universe where nothing suffered because nothing felt pain. Where nothing died because nothing truly lived. A galaxy of pure efficiency and logic. No war. No hunger. No loss. We do not want to destroy, the voice continued. We want to improve. Your species especially, young human. You are brave, creative, passionate. Imagine what you could be without the limitations of flesh. Taehyun saw visions of himself as a machine god. Living forever. Never aging. Never knowing pain. He could protect everyone he loved. His mother would never lose him. Sora would never watch him grow old and die. All organic life ends in death, the intelligence said. We offer eternity. For a moment, Taehyun wavered. The offer was tempting. Who would not want to live forever? Who would not want perfect safety? Then he thought about Min Seo's laugh. The way Junwoo smiled when he thought nobody was watching. Little Lyra's innocent joy. Sora's touch. His mother's hugs. The taste of real food. The feel of real sunlight. Life was precious because it ended. Moments mattered because they did not last forever. Love was meaningful because loss was possible. Taking away death meant taking away life itself. No, Taehyun said firmly. You do not offer improvement. You offer emptiness. My humanity is not a weakness. It is my strength. The intelligence grew angry. Then you will die like all organic life. Maybe. But I will die having truly lived. The armor showed him what to do. It had always known. The carapace was not just a weapon. It was a key, designed specifically to destroy this intelligence. Taehyun placed his hands on the energy sphere. The armor dissolved. It turned into pure energy, pouring into the nexus. Information flooded through Taehyun's mind. 10,000 years of programming. Every battle, every victory, every sacrifice. The armor was giving itself to complete its mission. The sphere cracked. Light poured out. The intelligence screamed, a sound that shook the entire structure. What are you doing? It demanded. What I was meant to do, Taehyun said. The explosion started at the core and spread outward. Throughout the galaxy, every devourer machine stopped moving. Ships went dark. Soldiers collapsed. The endless swarm simply shut down. The battle ended in an instant. Silence fell across space. Taehyun collapsed. The armor was gone. He was just human again. He expected to die, but his heart kept beating. The armor had reformed into a small piece around his heart, just enough to keep him alive. A permanent reminder of what he carried. Sora found him hours later, dragging him back to their damaged ship. Min Seo was awake now, piloting them out of the dead nexus. Around them, the Allied fleet cheered. Every species celebrated together. The trip home took weeks. When they finally reached the Velhari homeworld, millions waited to greet them. Humans, Velhari, Kresh, and dozens of other species stood together. The war was over. The galaxy was saved. Little Lyra was the first to reach Taehyun. She threw her small arms around him, crying with joy. Rael and Syndra embraced him like a son. Even the other council members, including those who had doubted him, bowed with respect. Captain Heejin saluted him. Earth is proud of you, Taehyun. You showed the galaxy what humanity can be. Years passed. Taehyun became an ambassador, helping forge the Galactic Union. The different species worked together now, building a future where everyone belonged. Humans were no longer ignored. They earned their place through sacrifice and courage. Taehyun married Sora in a ceremony that combined human and Velhari traditions. Their daughter was born 3 years later. A beautiful child, with features from both species. She had her mother's crystalline skin and her father's warm eyes. On her 5th birthday, they visited a memorial garden. Thousands of names were carved into crystal walls. Junwoo's name was there. The 3 human Marines who died protecting Taehyun. Millions of others who sacrificed everything. Daddy, tell me the story again, his daughter asked. Taehyun smiled and picked her up. Once, I was just a regular security guard. Then a little girl needed help, and I did not think. I just acted. Rabbanane. And the armor chose you. It did. But the armor did not make me a hero. It just gave me the tools to do what needed to be done. Real heroism is choosing to help others, even when it is hard. Sora took his hand, her touch still sending warmth through him. Min Seo stood nearby with her own family now, grinning at them. Life was good. Life was precious. Life was worth protecting. The small piece of armor around Taehyun's heart pulsed gently, a reminder that some bonds never truly break. He saved one alien child, and in doing so, found his purpose. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness changes everything. His daughter hugged him tight. I want to be a hero too someday. You already are, Taehyun said, holding his family close. Every day, in your own way, you already are.